What's going on, everybody? My name is Rory Edge, and I am your senior care expert. Listen, I am so excited and I'm pleased to say that this is my very first YouTube live video. Yeah, whoa, 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 whoa. Go, Rory, you the man. I know, I'm the man. No, but seriously, it is a privilege and an honor to be with you all here on this beautiful day, this beautiful Thursday, or whenever you'll be watching this video. And I am so excited to share with you all some of the information I have about the senior care industry. And so just to give you a little bit about me, I am a husband, I am a father, I am an author. I have authored my book, and I'm going to put my book also. I'm going to include it in the link of the description of the video. Here, I am the author of Senior Care Success, and you can find it in the link of this video. Okay, not just that, but I also wrote a book called Building Business Credit, granting new business owners the power to buy now. And I am also the author of the book I Should Have Waited: Navigating the Difficulties of Teenage Parenthood, which is pretty much self-explanatory. But the purpose of this video on today is to talk about senior care. Okay, all right. And so most people think, and more specifically, before I get into my video, I'm going to teach you the 7 steps that you need to take, right? The 7 steps you need to take to convert your rental property, into a revenue ready senior care home. Okay. And this can be done. It can be done in pretty much every state. I'm here in Georgia, and it's a very common thing, and it's becoming more and more common as the senior care population grows and expands here in the state of Georgia. But we also provide consulting services. We've consulted individuals in Tennessee. We've consulted individuals in South Carolina, Florida, Alabama, Texas, and in Kansas. And so we are growing, we are thriving, and we wanted to present ourselves to you. Okay. But most people think that you need like millions of dollars and a medical background, or a huge building, or even to own a building in order for you to enter into the senior care home. But that's not necessarily the truth. If you already have a rental property, or if you have one in mind that you are considering using, or if you have access to one, you are already halfway there. You are already halfway to where you need to be in order for you to be successful in the senior care business. Okay. And so again, today I'm breaking down the 7 exact steps that you would need to turn a regular rental property into a licensed, profitable, revenue generating senior care facility. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and let's dive right into it. Let's look at it. So step one, and what I'm going to do in step 1 is I'm going to explain to you the difference between a personal care home, as they're referred to here in the state of Georgia. Many states will also refer to them as residential assisted living facilities. Some states refer to them as assisted living facilities, acute care, nursing facilities, memory care facilities, et cetera, et cetera. Now, why is the differentiation important? The reason the differentiation is important is because it depending upon what type of service you want to provide, that is going to be contingent upon the type of license that you are issued. Okay. So the service you provide is going to constitute the license that you are issued. Also, it is going to determine what type of facility will receive that license. We'll dive into that just a little bit later on in the video. Okay. So now, here in the state of Georgia, again, we consult in all 50 states, but this is going to be state specific for the state of Georgia. Now, in our research, what we've discovered is a lot of what the state of Georgia does, it applies to a bunch of other states. As a matter of fact, Georgia and Florida have some of the most strict senior care licensing requirements across the United States. And believe it or not, there are actually states that don't have a licensing requirement. They don't require a state license or a state office or audit in the process of you opening a senior care home. Now, in some instances, depending on how you look at it, that can be a good thing because the barrier of entry is very, very low. On the other hand, I personally would not have my loved one, would not place my loved one or even myself in an unlicensed facility. But that's another conversation for another day, and we're going to touch on that also in future videos to come. Okay. So, all right. So the difference, I'm going to outline the difference between a personal care home or also group home here in the state of Georgia and an assisted living facility. Now, a personal care home, it all deals with your scope of care. Okay. Your scope of care is very important. Okay. Because again, that is going to determine what type of license you receive from your state. So here again, in the state of Georgia, a personal care home, it is a licensed facility and it provides 24-hour care to senior citizens or adults with disabilities. Now, these individuals usually require a very minimal amount of care as it pertains to them being cared for. So these individuals may need oversight as far as medication administration is concerned. They may have difficulties getting dressed. They may have difficulties feeding themselves. And although they may experience difficulties, it is not an impossibility for them. They can ambulate or move or function in some capacity or another. Okay. So, and what a personal care home is it's a licensed facility that provides a minimal level of care. However, the oversight again is 24 hours. Like you can't put these people in this facility and then your caregivers leave and go home for the night. That's not how that works. Okay. But what you can, what must happen is in a licensed care home here in the state of Georgia, the individuals are required to be oversaw for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That means your facility does not close unless it is like a state of emergency or some type of natural disaster, whatever the case may be. As long as you have residents within your facility, it should be manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay. So now when that's a personal care home, but when you start getting into assisted living, these types of individuals, according to the state of Georgia, again, it is subject to your state. Okay. The level of care is subject to your state. When you get into assisted living, these individuals need a higher level of care. Okay. So they need help being fed. They need help being administered their medication. They need help putting their shoes on. They need help getting dressed. They need help pretty much with every daily function that they have. Okay. Their movements could be very limited, but not to the point where they are just completely and totally restricted or non-ambulatory whatsoever, maybe perhaps even in a vegetative state. That is for more acute care, okay, which would be usually commonly in your larger nursing facilities that provide those levels of care, okay? And then, so that's your assisted living. So acute care, people who are more vegetative, who need, now, there are instances where nursing homes or acute care do care for individuals who are ambulatory. Perhaps maybe they just want some type of care or some type of oversight for these individuals. Okay, so it is not uncommon for an acute care facility or commonly referred to as a nursing home to care for individuals who can function on a normal, what we would consider to be a very normal case. Okay, all right, so that's personal care, assisted living, acute care, and then you also have memory care. Now, memory care, of course, it is self-explanatory. These individuals are experiencing some sort of cognitive decline, such as Alzheimer's, dementia, whether that be short-term memory loss, long-term memory loss, whatever the case may be. And they require that requires a totally different license. That requires even the setup of your facility is on the extreme. Like you must have automatic locks on your doors. Like it may be a 2 or 3 step security apparatus to prevent elopement, people leaving, things of that nature. These things are very important when you are deciding what type of home you are going to convert your current rental property into. Okay. So, and then another thing you have to consider, which is going into number two, when you are converting this, is if you have a memory care facility, there may be some questions as to its location, which brings me to number two, is why it's important for you to check the zoning and the local requirements for these facilities. And the reason this is important is because if you have a memory care facility, I don't think you necessarily want that like to be like out in the country, if you will, and that's what that's what we say here in Georgia, because we got a lot of it. We have a lot of rural areas, and it just you having a memory care facility that is very far off, away from emergency management, police stations, hospitals, things of that nature. That may not necessarily be a good fit for a memory care facility. However, on the flip side of that, it may be perfect for assisted living, or it may be perfect for personal care. So on the scope of care that you're trying to get into, and it also depends upon the safety and security of your property, of your facility. Okay, so which brings us to number two, making sure that, excuse me, you check into the zoning and local requirements for your facility. Okay, most rentals already meet zoning or only need minor adjustments, which means in many instances these you come on through, baby. You need to come through. You're not pulling on the door. Okay. All right. So I apologize. My office is in the back of my wife's salon, so please bear with me. So you need to come through. Come on through. Okay. All right. So the zoning requirements are important, which 9 times out of 10, your rental property is already zoned residential, right? But I know, as for us, when we opened our very first facility in a city called Cordele, Georgia, it was we had to have it had to be both residential and it had to be zoned commercial. So it already had the residential zoning, but we had to go back in and have it zoned commercial. And it worked out perfectly. The city didn't give us much blowback on it, because after it was a residence, it was used as an attorney's office, a law office, and then so we didn't have much trouble converting that building into a personal care home here in the state of Georgia and in the city of Cordele. And that's important. You need to check both your state zoning requirements and your local zoning requirements, because 9 times out of 10, your state licensing agency, which is DHS, Department of Human Services here in the state of Georgia, they're going to say, look, hey, the minimum requirements are this, and they're going to give you a checklist of what all those requirements are for that particular facility. One of them that is going to specify is that it must meet local zoning laws. It has to, like, hands down, no questions asked. Like, you can't, just and they're going to ask for it too. They're going to ask for the zoning certificate when you submit your application. So it is important. It is important of the utmost importance that your property that you're currently using as a rental property, or even the one that you're considering using as a facility, it's important that it meets those zoning requirements. Okay, but again, most homes are already zoned for residential, so it is important that you go the extra mile and just ensure that it is also that it meets local zoning requirements as well. Okay, so there'll be things like residential zoning requirements. There'll be things like occupancy limits. I know here in the state of Georgia, if the license is from 0 to 6, it has a certain zoning requirement, and then from 7 occupants and up, there's a different zoning requirement. So zoning requirements are of the utmost importance, and it is important that you understand those. Okay. Many facilities and many homes are going to require like a fire marshal inspection certificate. So that's going to be important. I know when we open our second home in Camilla, Georgia, we developed a very close relationship with the fire marshal in that area. Why? Because they didn't understand what a personal care home was. They knew what assisted living was. They knew what a nursing home was. But when it came down to something that we were to this model, the group home model, our personal care home that we were opening there, they were completely lost. So it was a totally new thing. So new guidelines had to be implemented when we went to Camilla. So again, all of these things are important, and it is important that you do your research and you follow up with all of your local zoning law committees, your zoning representatives. There may be I don't know if it will be a magistrate that's over zoning, but call your local city or your local county officials, ask for the zoning department, and they will happily guide you to where you need to be. Okay. All right. So that's number 2, zoning. Jumping into number 3. Number 3 is prepare the property for licensing. Now, this is important, and I would say this is probably the most important step of the process of the 7 steps. And the reason being is because your home may be perfect for a normally functioning family. Okay. It may be used for, it may have been used as a single family dwelling, and you want to, and clearly you're watching this video and you want to go take the time to convert it into a personal care home or assisted living facility. Well, guess what? It may have been perfect. It was the ideal dwelling for your a single family at that particular time. But guess what? What may be a perfect situation for a normal family may be a quiet storm for an individual with a disability, okay, or a senior citizen that has a disability. So you want to make sure that your property is prepared for licensing, and that this is where your rental property, it could become an ability for you, or it could become a liability for you. Okay. Now, so what does that involve? Preparing the property for licensing. Well, you got to make sure that it is fire safe ready, fire proof, if you will. Okay. Does it have smoke detectors? Does it have fire extinguishers? Are the exit routes visible? Are they accessible? Are there any obstructions in the way of the exits? Are there any obstructions in the hallways? Are there any obstructions in the way of any doors or anything of that nature? And I know it's a common problem, especially with older homes. A lot of older homes have spaces in them that were once used as something else, like maybe it was a closet there, and then someone bought it and transformed the closet maybe into a bedroom. That stuff is important because a lot of states require that the spaces be of a minimum square footage in order for you to use it as a dwelling. Okay, that is important. Okay, that's important for you to know. Speaking of dwellings, are the bedrooms the proper sizes? Each state's requirements are going to be different, but chances are they're going to meet the minimum threshold of the Adults with Disabilities Act, which is federal law. Okay, so are the bedrooms the proper sizes? Are the bathrooms accessible? Again, your single family dwelling could be the perfect case study for a single family home or a family that functions normally. Okay, but for someone who may be in a wheelchair, who may be on a walker, who may use a cane, or may need some type of support in order for them to ambulate and maneuver through your home, it may present challenges. Okay, is the home equipped with the proper medication storage? Is there an emergency exit plan in the event that this dwelling, in the event that there is an emergency such as a house fire, carbon monoxide a leak, methane leak, or just anything that could take place as an emergency? So property preparation for licensing is of the utmost importance, and you want to make sure that you have that squared away. Okay. All right. Now, so that was step 3. Step 4 is complete state licensing. What does that look like? Well, the process here in the state of Georgia, when I say it is simple, I'm not undermining or downplaying licensing process here in the state of Georgia. I have had several facilities licensed here in the state of Georgia, and I'm also a consultant. So I've also had to help people go through the licensing process here for the state of Georgia. So I guess you could say I know it like the back of my hand. But so when I say that it is easy, I'm referring to the fact that I've done it several times. I've done it over and over again, and I pretty much know the licensing process in and out here in the state of Georgia. So, but just and I'm going to outline the licensing process here in the state of Georgia. And guess what? It very well could be licensing process for several other states as well. So, what does that process look like? Well, let me give you a brief breakdown of what completing the state licensing process is like here in the state of Georgia. Number one, you got to have an application. Okay, that's number one. Number one, you have to have an application even before you find the property. Okay. Well, let me say this. Let me say this because I know that this may potentially be a question. And if you do have questions or concerns concerning the licensing process, feel free to reach out to me. You can direct message me here. You can leave a comment under this video. And at the end of the video, I'll also include my contact information. You can reach me that way as well. But please, for those of you who are going to see this video later on, you can leave a comment in the comment section. Leave your contact information, and I'll DM you or figure out some type of way for us to get into contact, okay? Do not file your application before you make sure that that property is zoned. But guess what? In many instances, you won't be able to submit the application without the zoning approval certificate, okay? So do not file your application without first knowing that that property has been zoned for that use, okay? Now, a while ago, you didn't have to have a zoning certificate. You could just open the home, and maybe if you like received any backlash or any pushback, it would only come from your local maybe HOA or maybe your city who would city officials who may offer some pushback. And usually when that happens with your local city officials or zoning officials, they don't quite understand what an assisted living or senior care home is. And usually what happens is after you explain to them that process, they like, okay, cool. This is, it's a home for seniors. It's not going to be a club or, anything like that. And usually once you give them a clearer understanding of what it is, they then be like, okay, y'all go ahead. We'll sign off on it. Do what you got to do. Okay. But the state licensing requirements are as follows. You got to have an application. Number one, that application needs to be filled out, and it needs to be filled out completely, or guess what? It's going to be kicked back. And you don't want that, because if it gets kicked back, it delays your process and it lengthens the time for your home to receive its inspection. And that can take, honestly speaking, it could be as short as 30 days and as long as 90. It just really depends on whether or not the state inspectors are backlogged or if they have space to accommodate you in a less lengthy time frame. So you got to have your application. Number two, you need to have a background check. And this is not just for you as the owner, but every individual that is going to step foot long term or serve in some type of official capacity within your facility need to have a background check. I don't care who it is. I don't care if you have volunteers coming, and if they're going to come on a consistent basis, like maybe once, twice a week, or once a month, they need to have a background check as well, just to safeguard yourself, and make sure that your residents are safeguarded as well. You want to make sure they are protected and that they have everything that they need, including their safety, to be taken care of. Okay. So application, background checks, you got to have your policies and your procedures. Your policies and your procedures are basically the skeleton of which how your facility is going to operate. Okay. It's the skeleton for which how your facility is going to operate. So you got to have your policies. You got to have your procedures. You want to make sure that you also submit your floor plan. to the state. They're going to require you to submit that. And usually you can, have someone to do it, maybe a licensed contractor. You yourself, you might be a licensed contractor. Well, I don't know, but you can get a licensed contractor to do it. And it's usually provided also, like if you own the property, when you buy a home, sometimes a floor plan is included in there, but you want to make sure that it is submitted along with your application. They're going to require it actually. And then that then leads to, so your application, your background checks, policies and procedures, and your floor plan ticket to your inspection day. Okay. All right. So, but let me give you this pro. Licensing paperwork is not perfection. Okay. So I've had the privilege, like I said, I've done this several times. I've had the pleasure and privilege of working with some amazing people at our state licensing agency. Some I've gotten to know on because I've had to deal with them so much. I've gotten to know on a personal level, but not that I, expect or curry favor from that. It's just that some of them, they are your best friends in many instances. If you give them what the state requires, if you give them what is required in that application process, again, it's not about perfection. Okay, it's not about perfection. It's about making sure that you have your paperwork filled out in the proper manner. Okay, so I want you to remember that when you are going through your licensing process. Okay, so step 4 was complete the state licensing. We have three more we're going to dive into: steps 5, 6, and 7. And then I'm going to get out of your way. So step 5 is furnish for function, safety, and comfort. Okay. And why this matters is like, you want to make sure your flooring that you put down, like you don't want to put down anything that may cause it's very pretty to the eye. I'm gonna just take these glasses out because they keep steaming up. You don't want to install any flooring that may be very aesthetically pleasing, but the functionality is off. Okay, so you want to ensure that when you are furnishing and safetyfying, if you will, your facility, you want to make sure that everything that you are installing into the facility, it has the safety and comfort of your residents in mind. Okay, so you want to with that being said, you want to ensure that you install non-slip flooring. Your furniture is sturdy. Listen, we consulted with the client. She was so excited about her property, as she should have been. She's open now, has been open for almost 2 years, going on 3 at this point. But she had we went and we were doing her final walkthrough inspection before the actual state inspection. And she was just so outdone with how beautiful her furniture was. And so we didn't want it. My wife and I, my wife usually goes with me when we do our inspections. And we didn't want to hurt her feelings because she was just so excited. But we got in the car after everything was said and after everything was done. And my wife looked at me and she said, "Roy, they're going to tear that stuff up." They're going to tear that stuff up. And but you live and you learn. And again, we didn't want to crush her spirits. She was the state inspection was at that point maybe a few days away. And she was so excited. Like she was just bubbling with joy about finally, because the reason she was so excited was because she had overcome so many obstacles on the way to getting licensed. And so, again, we didn't want to kill a joy. We didn't want to be a killjoy. And so, but your furniture needs, I say all that to say, your furniture needs to make sense. Okay. Things like grab bars, usually most states require them to be installed in the bathrooms, but also depending upon the type of facility that you have, like it's very common in nursing facilities, some mid-size personal care homes. Believe it or not, in the state of Georgia, there are mid-size care homes. And a care home here in Georgia, it's up to 24 residents, believe it or not. But they usually require some type of grab bar in their hallways, in the rooms, but most assuredly in the bathrooms of those facilities. Okay. Also, the proper lighting. You want to make sure that areas that are commonly used are lit, especially for people who may be visually impaired. You want to make sure those areas have the proper lighting. You also want to make sure that your residence's bedrooms are resident ready, which means on day one, you get your license, someone could move in and they could sleep in the bed and sleep in the bedroom without a hitch. Okay. All right. So that's number 5. Number 5 is furnishing and safety comfort. Number 6 is hiring and contracting with the right staff. This is major, y'all. I can't tell you how important this is. I can't tell you how important this is. You have to make sure and ensure that the individuals you are bringing into your facility that are working there, that are going to be day to day with your residents, that are going to be hands on day to day with your residents, they will either make your facility or they can break your facility. Just their interactions could either make your facility or break your facility. Your staff, the people, the individuals that deal with your clients on a day-to-day basis, if they are too much of a handful, if they are too difficult, if they are mean, if they are contrary with your residents, that could affect your bottom line. I'm just being honest. And I know, it ain't about the money. Yes, it is. You are in this business. Yes, you're in it to care for seniors, aging, our aging population, and also adults with disabilities. But you are also in this to make a profit. You want to be profitable, and who you hire to work in your facility matters. I want to say that again. Who you hire to work in your facility matters. I'm going to say it one more time. Who you hire to work in your facility matters. Hear me and hear me well. Again, it could affect your bottom line. It could either make your facility, it could break your facility, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, we want to make sure that you are put in the best situation possible in order for you to have a thriving, functioning, revenue-based facility. Okay. All right. So that's number 6, hiring and contracting with the right staff. And last, but certainly not least, number 7 is start marketing before you open. Now, I say this with slight, very minute reservation. And the reason I'm saying this with very slight and very minute reservation is because in some states, particularly here in the state of Georgia, you cannot advertise yourself as a personal care home, as an assisted living facility, or as a nursing home if you don't possess the proper licensure and proper licensing in order for you to do that. So it's sort of kind of like you false claiming. And I know that there are several restrictions, especially by Ombudsman, which is a regulatory entity, regulatory arm that comes in and just makes sure that everything is on the up and up with your facility. Okay, that is very important. Sometimes they don't even allow you to start advertising in some states, and in some instances, they don't allow you to start advertising if and until you have received your state license. Okay, so but you do want to get in the community. You want to go and you want to meet with certain stakeholders within the community just to let them know that, hey, my name is Rory Edge. I am in the process of opening a personal care home. You can give them your information. Everything can be speculative. Everything can be presumptuous. You can give them a pamphlet or a business card, and you can say, hey, this is future owner of Bright Light Senior Care, or something of that nature. But it's important that you learn that, especially from a regulatory standpoint, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to get in trouble out of the gate, and you sure don't want to develop a bad relationship with your state, okay, with your state license and agency. Okay, so start marketing before you open, and that doesn't mean you have to start sending out pamphlets, flyers, things of that nature. No, again, you can start meeting with different people within the community. You can even start advertising it online. Say, hey guys, I have this amazing idea. I'm going to open up a personal care home. I'm going to open up an assisted living facility. I'm going to open up a nursing home, whatever the case may be. But start advertising Start informing your community of who you are. Start getting the word out there. Your church, your coworkers, and then and I understand some people just don't want anybody to know that they even own it. That's perfectly fine as well. I get it. I totally understand that, because the less people know, then the less risk you run into with people sabotaging it, destroying it. So I get it, but I'm not that type of person. I'm on, I'm a blessed person. God has blessed me, and I believe that this is one way to show my thanks and gratitude to Him for finally giving me the opportunity to open something that had been a vision of mine for a long, long time. Okay, but marketing is of the utmost importance, and marketing has become very easy with the onset and advent of social media. But like it has become just extremely easy now, especially with different types of marketing programs that you can enroll in, that you can invest in, that will get people in the know about your care facility. Okay. All right. So let's do a quick recap. Okay. Let's do a quick recap. Number one, the first step to converting your rental property into a senior care facility. Number one is choose your care model. What type of facility are you going to open? Is it going to be a personal care home? Is it going to be an assisted living facility? Is it going to be a memory care home? Choose your care model. Number two, check zoning and local requirements. Am I able to put this type of, whatever type of facility I'm choosing to open, am I able to open it in this neighborhood? And if not, where am I able to open it? All of this is important. We don't want you to start the process of converting your rental property into a personal care home, and then you come to find out you're not able to use that property as such. So your zoning is important. Number two. Number three, prepare the property for licensing. What does that mean? You want to make sure that the facility is up to code. You want to make sure there are no holes in the floor. You want to make sure there are no holes in the ceiling. It's going to rain, Hopper. It's going to rain on your head. You want to make sure that the bedroom sizes meet the state's minimum requirements. Your bathrooms are ADA compliant and handicap accessible. You want to make sure that there's an emergency plan and things are in place, such as medication storage. Okay. Number four, you want to complete the state licensing process. Don't open a personal care home and you're not licensed. Please don't do that. Several people have gotten caught doing that. They've gotten in trouble, and they run and in many instances, they can no longer hold a license in that state. Okay. Don't do anything to jeopardize your state license. Okay. Do nothing. Do nothing. Do nothing to put yourself in that type of predicament. Okay. Number four, again, complete state licensing. Number five, furnish your facility and make sure that it has safety and that it is comfortable for your residents. Number six, hire and contract with the right staff. Again, your staff can either make or break your facility. Number seven, and finally, number seven, and that is start marketing before you are open. And again, you can get in some states, you can't market yourself as a facility, as a licensed facility, until you actually receive your license. So that is of the utmost important. And please, 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 please check with your state and local licensing boards and zoning boards before you start the process of marketing. But like I said, you can get creative, and you can start making some soft announcements on social media. Start connecting with local and state officials in that capacity, just to get the word out there and let people know who you are. Okay. All right. So now, if you want me to walk you through this step by step, if you are interested in entering into the senior care industry, whether that be opening a personal care home or an assisted living facility or a nursing home or a memory care facility, and you want assistance with that step by step, or if you have a rental property and you want to convert it, I want you to drop ready in those comments. Drop ready in the comments, and I'll reach out to you and let you know what your next steps are. Listen, this has been a plum pleasing pleasure. Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you all so much for your attention. Once again, my name is Rory Edge. I am your senior care expert, and I am privileged to have this opportunity to present you this information. Oh, one final thing. Listen, if you are in the Orlando, Florida area, if you are in Orlando and you are wanting to get into the assisted living space, I have 16 properties that I am in the process of leasing out to potential care home owners, senior care home investors. Okay. No rent. I don't want any rent from you. Okay. You also receive 6 months of instruction and 6 months of consulting from me. And there is a $5,000 administrative fee, and that'll cover those 6 months of instruction and consulting. Okay, we want you to be we want you to be as prepared as possible when you enter into the senior care industry. Okay, so if you are in the Orlando, Florida area and you want to jump into, or you're curious about it, please comment ready, READ, in the comments, and I will reach out to you and I'll let you know how you can go about securing one of these 16 properties that I have in the Orlando, Florida area. And then we can go from there. Okay. But listen, you all, thank you all again so much for your time and for your consideration and tuning in on this not Facebook, this YouTube live video. And I will be back and I'll be back soon. So do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, all of that. Again, I'm new to this, so I'm still learning the language and getting acclimated to how things are done over here on YouTube. Thank you all so much. I've enjoyed these last 40 plus minutes with you all, and I will see you all again.